What's up, folks? Welcome back to Video Games Are Hard. I'm wearing glasses today because allergy season is killing me and my eyes are puffy. Contacts are messing with me. I'm wearing glasses, so just picture me with glasses on. And I'm here with my co-host, Sid. Hello, Sid.
Are you going to update the profile picture to have glasses on the YouTube video?
I would assume that Luther from SSX Tricky is me, which he is. So
No, I mean in the video on YouTube. Like the average W.
Oh, that's actually genius. I was thinking of my profile picture, but actually, I'm gonna do that.
You could have it. You could have it as like as you start saying it's like I'm wearing glasses, and then it gets glasses.
Or I could just already have them on. Make the viewer of the podcast on YouTube versus Spotify and Google Play, which is just audio. Wonder why there's glasses, and then I immediately explain it.
I liked my idea, but you can go with your idea.
We'll have a vote on it. We'll figure it out.
We'll have a vote on it.
Anyway,
it'll go 1-1.
Yeah, democracy doesn't really work with two people too well.
The podcast doesn't. The podcast itself doesn't have a vote, which is sad. It should.
True.
Okay.
Anyway, we actually just did something that I was shocked that Sid actually followed through with doing, which was watching part 1 of Shift's series he's creating of documentaries for a little game called Battle for Bikini Bottom, a game that he's pretty much the record holder of for any category. He's making a series of record progression stuff for that game, and Sid and I actually watched the premiere. I'm coming from a place of, I actually watched that game way back in the day. I mean, I grew up with it as a kid, playing that game as a kid, but furthermore, I actually knew of speedruns of that game since 2013 or so, in the era where the players Hazel and Cole were duking it out. But Sid has pretty much no experience with the game, yet he sat and watched it. So I gotta say, Sid, I'm impressed.
I'm interested by the phrasing of I followed through in what I never promised to watch this thing.
Or you followed through with, you know what? Yeah, I worded that badly.
Trey mentioned like 25 minutes before. It was just like, oh, it's going to premiere in 25 minutes, and I didn't read it properly. I thought he said it is 25 minutes long, and that it was like on his YouTube. And I looked at his YouTube. It's like, it's not on. It's like, it's premiering, and I'm like, what? In 10 minutes? I'm like,
oh, totally misconstrued what I said.
And,
I was like,
I just didn't even read it. And then I went to his page, and I was just like, oh, okay, so it's premiering. And then when he started the stream and he panned over to his YouTube video, it was just like, it's an hour long, and I'm just sitting there going like, Trey said it was 25 minutes, but he didn't.
Trey, you lied to me. Like, no, you didn't read it right.
So Trey and I were DMing back and forth for the first bit of it. Mm-hmm. Like, I was just like random comments, whatever, and he's just like, oh, you want to do a call? So we did like a live watch with like Emo and Frenchie there, and Trey and I watched it. I don't know anything about this video. I've watched like bits and pieces of speedruns, kind of, because as a speedrunner, you just kind of like watch other speedruns sometimes, and you're just like, oh, and then you just go back to your own corner of the speedrunning universe. And then, but as a kid, I didn't even know this game existed. I don't think any of my friends had it. I never had an original Xbox or anything like that.
It's generally a smart decision as a gamer to avoid licensed games at all cost. Yeah. But this is one of those few exceptions, much like The Simpsons Hit and Run.
I like that game.
Which is also a really good game. There's a handful of really solid licensed games, such as BfBB, which the video was on.
I've heard that the Captain America Winter Soldier video game is actually okay.
Okay.
That's my little...
I've never heard of that one, but that's interesting.
It exists. I saw a review on it like years ago when it came out, and I was just like, oh, it's like 7.5 out of 10 according to random reviews. It was literally
7.5. Yeah, 7.5 for a game based on a movie or like other video property. It essentially converts to a 9.5.
Yeah, that's pretty good for like something that should be a shell of something, just to be like, oh, a brand recognition. I'll buy that. You know.
Although, you know what else got 7.5 in Nintendo Power? Shadow the Hedgehog. Oh, so yeah. Buyer beware is what I say.
Buyer beware.
But anyways, so you watched it from the perspective of someone who has basically no experience playing the game even casually, and your general sentiment was that you thought it was a good video, but you were lost quite a bit of the time.
Thanks, Trey. I'll take it from here on my sentiment of the video.
Explain that sentiment that I just shoehorned in for you.
As I said, I've seen like I watched little pieces of Shift's runs, and I don't know, he resets a lot. He's like, or used to, I don't know, years ago. And
high level gameplay, man, frame perfect tricks.
So like,
crazy.
I've seen the SpongeBob house movement a bunch, where he collects all the shiny objects.
Yeah, so in the intro house, you have to get 50 shiny objects to get the first spatula, and you can leave your house.
And then I've seen the like taxi glitch that they said a lot that I don't remember the name of. What is it? Where his hand is on screen.
The one where you disable the hand by having SpongeBob in the out of bounds area. The hand drags you into the loading zone thing.
Yeah.
And then it disables. I don't know exactly how it works. That's what it looks like, though.
See, I did pay attention. I was sitting there. It's a lot to absorb. I have written down a few keywords.
I get it, because SpongeBob. I got you there.
I have written down a few keywords that were said a lot that I have no idea what the hell they were talking about.
And I am here to explain them to you.
Well, they said Murmalair a lot. Is that just like out of nowhere, just saying the word Murmalair like 6 times?
That's a level in the game.
Is it the Mermaid Man lair?
Yeah, it's like the lair the like Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy have.
See, but
it's actually like a full scale level in the game you can go to.
I've only watched bits and pieces of the show. I feel like the show, it's like you and Drake and Josh, where it's just like you watched Drake and Josh and I didn't, because I am, for anybody that's curious, I'm 3 years older than Average Trey. So,
and as we say, it's the 3-year generational gap makes a difference in what you see.
It does, not nowadays. It doesn't make any difference nowadays because we're all
growing up. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
But like growing up, you're just like, it's grade 5 versus grade 2.
True.
That's fucking massive. So, like, Trey watched a lot of Drake and Josh. That was a little after my time, so I didn't watch that show. So SpongeBob was kind of the same thing, where I watched the first season and just kind of like left it. So I watched the first season when everybody was watching it, but I wouldn't have played this game because it was just like, oh, that's kid stuff.
Yeah, that was actually optimal for you because you watched the first few seasons when it was actually good.
Yeah.
And I'm actually young enough that I sort of caught wind of the post-movie seasons that were meh to not so good. So
yeah, so that's why I missed the game. I would assume.
That's probably it, yeah.
Where it's just like, I watched the show and I'm like, I don't want to buy this video game. Because I did own a GameCube, but like also, why?
Yeah, the reason I actually got the game in the first place, I'm pretty sure there's no way I would have gotten it otherwise. But one of my friends in probably early middle school, maybe late elementary school, had the game. And we were playing it at a sleepover. And I just remember playing it, from what I played at that sleepover, I was instantly hooked. Like the game design and the game just vibed with me hella hard. I was like, I gotta get this game. I gotta play it for myself. And eventually I got the game, and it was a lot of fun casually. So it was definitely a good purchase. But yeah, back on your confusion with the video.
Yeah, it was just a lot to take in. I didn't understand what cruise boosting was. Even after your little blurb of explaining it, I was more caught up in the guffaw of like, oh, Trey's in this video and he's in the call with me. Lol.
Yeah, it was kind of distracting so I actually did like a brief voice cameo in this video, and I explained cruise boosting after Loader announces the discovery of it quite
cruise boosting
passionately. That was my favorite part of the video. It's so good. And so I explained how it works. And I actually, at a previous GDQ event, the one that Shift went to in 2017, he and Red Moss were both sort of teaching me how to do some tricks in the game. And I learned how to cruise boost, but it's pretty technical because it's like some frame perfect bullshit you got to do.
Yeah.
And it's hard to explain for sure. So
yeah, so it's like the animation of there's like a cruise something move.
Okay, so essentially,
they breezed right over that. Like the basic mechanics, they didn't really go, like you could move, but then there's just like, oh, there's a bowling animation. It's like, what the hell? There's a bowling thing?
See, I feel like a lot of the stuff in the video,
yeah,
you wouldn't get unless you played the game growing up, which
I literally have no idea.
I'm assuming you would probably only watch this video if you knew it growing up, probably. Unless you're you.
Well, unless you're in a speedrunning. See, I wouldn't have even known. I wouldn't even have known that this was being released tonight if Trey didn't DM me like half an hour beforehand. It's like, oh yeah, Shift's releasing his video. You should because.
And then my pitch was, I'm also in it, so. Watch it.
It's just like, oh, you care 1% because I'm in it, and I was sitting there going like, well, judging by the fact that Trey's DMing me this like after our little like, he's just like, oh, we're gonna do the podcast in 2 hours, and then like half an hour after that, it's just like, oh, Shift's releasing his video in a half hour. I was like, oh, is this like one of those like I have to watch it kind of thing?
It wasn't, but I mean, you chose to, which is dope.
And then I was just watching it, so I watched the thing. I love SM Loader to death. SM Loader is the narrator for the part 1 of the Battle for Bikini Bottom Any % history,
and also my former roommate.
Yeah, so Trey's a big fan of his. I like SM Loader as much as the next guy. This is my thought after watching the entirety of the video. I feel like he has a great voice. But these are my specific thoughts on SM Loader. I think he's more of an ASMR, like, calming voice guy than, like, teaching a class. And so, like I was listening to what he was saying, but nothing was entering my brain. It could have also been the fact that I've never played or watched this game really in its entirety. So,
yeah, I felt like I was picking it up pretty well coming from a person who knew what was going on because of like playing the game.
So it could have been that.
Yeah, I can definitely see what you mean. His voice is so smooth, you forget what you're listening to.
He's so calming, like to a fault.
Yeah.
You know?
You gotta have that grittiness and awkwardness that my voice has to make a video, am I right?
Yeah. You gotta have that. You gotta have the awkwardness of Trey's voice.
The gritty awkwardness of Trey voiceovers.
But yeah, I thought it was well made.
Yeah, definitely. I was actually impressed at the quality of the editing because I've seen like a number of videos from speedrun content creators, not going to point any names, where I'm like, this could have been edited a little bit better or like had a little more time put into it. But like definitely in this video, Shift definitely put some passion into a good number of portions and like how the editing looks, because he had like zoomed out sort of shots of the whole the whole Bikini Bottom area with like pathways going through it. He marked and labeled and was like, they wanted to go here, but the route goes here, and they had some cool stuff for sure.
And they went in depth. And for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, we'll probably link the video in the description, considering we're spending the first hour
I'll link it. It's on Shift's channel. It's part 1 of 4 parts of the whole history of Any %.
And so without getting into like really deep tech of the game that I don't even understand, like they rolled around a lot, and then they were cruise boosting and then hover gliding.
Okay, so I didn't even explain what cruise boosting was exactly. So the reason it was confusing to you is you don't know like all the mechanics of the game. So there's moves you get in the game. After you beat Robo Sandy, you unlock the Bubble Bowl, which is like a bowling move. You can like bowl a bubble essentially.
Yeah.
And then after beating Robo Patrick, you get the Cruise Bubble, which is like a bubble you can like control. It's like a homing bubble. Kind of like, have you played like GoldenEye Nightfire with like that homing missile you can use?
The Sentinel.
The Sentinel, that?
Yeah.
It's basically the Sentinel with a bubble, okay?
I did play a lot of Nightfire, so I know all of the guns.
I'm glad you played that game. That's a pretty dope game.
Yeah, it's sick.
But yeah, so combined, if you do a cruise bubble and the bubble bowl on the exact same frame, that's essentially what leads to like that ever pushing force that like speeds you up to some extent.
Oh.
And then doing that combined with hugging a wall at a certain angle and like holding a certain direction, you can get even more speed. That's the gist of it essentially.
Yeah, to quote SM Loader, slow, fuck that. Yeah.
Cruise boost that shit. He gets pretty crazy. I love it.
But my final thought, or my only like huge thought, Trey can go into like, I don't know how long we're going to talk about this video, but my one thing, we were watching the Cole. I've never heard of Cole in my life.
I knew about Cole.
I've never heard his name in the BfBB channels or anything like that. I've just never, I'm not in there a lot. I don't know anything about this game. So Cole was the best player for a while. And he showed his face at the end of his tenure and all this stuff. You should watch the video. It's a good video. But he reminded me, the way he spoke and his mannerisms reminds me very much of old-time Cathalon.
And when Sid said that, it blew my mind, because I was like, holy shit, it does remind me of old Cath.
So Cathalon, who's a friend of the show, he's been on the show before. He's like, we were in a call with him, last night?
Yeah, a good friend of ours.
He has changed over the years. And it's funny we've actually been talking about this a while, or for a bit now that like Kenny's back in the fold, Kenny Cola, whatever. We've been talking about like how much we've changed over the past few years. And Calf said that he didn't think he changed much. Yeah.
When in fact, I think Calf's definitely changed the most out of anyone.
Dude, he can like speak on cam and like with other people and on stream, but like this Cole guy definitely brought back like 2015 Cathalon vibes, where it was just like kind of the awkward gamer, speaking in very mumbled short sentences, and yeah. So it was I guess not nostalgic, but it was really interesting to hear that and be like, oh my god, Calf from 4 years ago is invading my brain.
And then I theorized from that, what if Cole became what Calf is now, and is kind of just like a trolley figure?
He's just like he's playing Valorant.
Yeah, he's on the Valorant grind.
He's a grandmaster in Tetris. He's just fucking around. Like every now and then plays the game, but offline. Just like doing whatever he wants. But yeah,
when you said that, I never realized. I mean, I barely ever heard Cole voice before that, to be fair. It's like was so pushed out of my brain from like seeing it maybe years ago, if at all. But when you said that, I like instantly made the connection. Like that is how Cap used to talk in a way.
I got 118. He didn't have the I got 118 moment. Like when
I think that I got 118 was like a breaking point for Cap.
Yeah, that's where his whole personality shifted.
Getting that 118 just changed him forever.
Oh, Zach, give me a hug. It was like, okay.
But like 2014 Calf, like totally different person.
Yeah. And it's really funny to think of that. Because like when Cole got his 112 and he turned on his mic and talked, it was just kind of like, I can't believe I got this. Like just in very short mumbled sentences. Instead of like, oh, I can like throw his mic on the floor. I don't know.
What was funny in the video was the first time they get kind of crazy with the explosions and stuff was like a montage for Cole's sub 110 run, which was like the first sub 110 ever.
Yeah. It
was like, holy shit, like explosions going everywhere. Then he goes to the reaction. I did it.
I did it.
Or whatever he said. It's like the contrast is so funny, man.
Dude, the montages in that video.
Yeah, I think they were, I don't want to toot my own horn. Might have been inspired by the 80% montage stuff I had in my video.
No.
Quota. I'm tooting my own horn, but I gotta meet the quota. Come on.
But yeah, it's a good
We
video.
all know the Day montage. It was the epicest shit on video ever.
If you care at all about Battle for Bikini Bottom, which I have no idea how many people, because apparently there's a huge fan base that just exists. It's just there.
I think Shift definitely cultivated that community, especially as far as speedrunning. But it was definitely like a big hit with anyone who played it definitely enjoyed it growing up. From what I've heard.
Everybody should go give it a watch. It's good. There's 3 more parts.
Sid is vouching for it, and he couldn't care less about that game, so you know it's pretty good.
I sat through it. I was very confused for parts of it, definitely. But you know what? I didn't play the game. So
but
that's
on
my
the
bad.
hole in hole, you knew what was going on.
Yeah, he was going fast.
They explained what a sequence break was in case you didn't know.
Yeah, the speedrunning for anybody who doesn't know is where you go really fast in a video game and try to get to the end as fast as possible. And you know what? In the any percent category of Battle for Bikini Bottom, they're trying to collect 75 spatulas as fast as they can and then beat Robo Spongebob.
Yes, sir.
I paid attention.
You are good at paying attention to things.
But yeah, I guess that's, unless you have anything else to talk about that video.
Nah, I mean, I was impressed by it. I'm sure that future parts will get even better. Definitely from what I experienced with making some YouTube content stuff, is the more you do it, the more you pick up on little techniques to improve, not only streamline the editing process, but make your editing seem more natural and just better, and you learn new techniques and stuff. So I'm looking forward to the future parts, and that should do it for that segment, I guess.
My next segment is a news segment.
News.
Well, okay, all transparency. This is transparency. We're being transparent here, Trey. If anything, the Video Games Are Hard podcast is transparent. Okay?
Sure.
Sure. We thought we were going to have a guest until like 3 days ago. And now we're just kind of like
yesterday.
And now we're just sitting here hanging out. We didn't really, I don't know. It was a very lax week. It was like some people are on quarantine. Trey's working, but like Trey DM'd me a few times about a certain guest, and I was just kind of like, eh.
Yeah, maybe someday.
Maybe someday, but like I wasn't super. I wasn't super excited about a guest just in general. So now we're here and we're making do with what we have. We have the new Shift doc, which is out, and we have news that Evo is going online, which is going to be interesting.
And they explicitly say in their articles, in case you didn't hear about this new COVID thing going around, that's why we're doing it.
Yeah, they give like a brief history on COVID. It's like the COVID-19 outbreak was declared a pandemic in March.
No way.
And there are now more than 3 million cases reported globally. And I'm just like,
no
yeah, okay.
No way, brother.
You know what? This article checks out. And
wait, if I knew that was going on, I totally understand. I had no clue that was going on, dude.
What's really cool is that in the article, they did announce that they're refunding everything. Like if you've scheduled a hotel or purchase tickets, it's just automatically refunded. You don't even have to call, apparently, according to this article. I don't know about that because I obviously have never been to an Evo, or not obviously, I've never been to an Evo. But it's interesting. But judging by like how I've been watching a fair bit of recent Smash tournaments, so like the online only Melee and Ultimate tournaments. I've been watching a fair bit of, like with Plup involved and whatever, and they look like they're tough. They look like the internet is tough to do fighting games in, and I'm genuinely curious how the Evo company is gonna handle that.
They're gonna have to band together, and you know how there's faster Melee to help with that?
Yeah.
They're gonna have faster Street Fighter, faster Mortal Kombat, faster random anime fighting game that shows up. Somehow.
Because specifically the Ultimate Online is like really bad. And everybody's known how bad it is for a while, but now that they're, because Ultimate is in Evo. I mentioned Melee because I've been watching Melee.
Oh wait,
and Melee,
I forgot Melee's not in Evo anymore. That's right.
Melee's been running, like the one tournament that I watched, it ran okay. Like the grand finals was Zane HBox, and nobody complained about the lag after. Like Plup was complaining about the lag with Zane, but nobody seemed to really, I don't know, write about it on Twitter or anything like that. But when Plup is going up against a European Sonic that has homing moves in Ultimate, where it's just like hold B and just like homes in on where you're going, wherever you are in however much lag, it gets pretty tilting probably, and I wonder how they're going to handle it. Also, spectators in a server for specifically Ultimate add lag, and for every other game that's not true. Like for some reason, Nintendo has made the netcode for Ultimate in such a way that if you have spectators like in the stands in the room for Ultimate, they actually add lag to the game that's happening, even if they're not participating. So it's going to be really interesting, specifically in that case. I don't know. I'm assuming that like Street Fighter 5, that's the one we're at. I assume Street Fighter 5 is going to be decent, at least.
I have no clue what to expect.
I actually have no idea either, but they say that news will come. Like, they literally, in this article, they just have the tweet that they put out, essentially. Like a message from the EVO team: due to COVID-19, we are sadly canceling EVO 2020 at Mandalay Bay and refunding all purchase tickets. But to keep the EVO spirit alive, we're bringing the event online this summer. More information coming soon. The health and well-being of our community is our highest priority, and that's pretty much the end. So, like, more information coming soon for a strictly online fighting tournament. And fighting games are very specific.
And a fighting game is a game in which you fight. So you know.
It's true.
It's true. It's interesting that they're taking this approach, whereas, at least for now, Games Done Quick delayed their marathon. Originally it was going to be in like June or July. Now they're pushing it back to August. And it's actually, for now, going to be in person. But if this whole debacle doesn't go down at all, it may change to online after all. Who knows?
I would not be surprised. Well, I feel like the online was doing fairly well. What, they get 20,000 viewers? Yeah,
I mean, honestly, it's even easier for Games Done Quick to do it. There's no, like, input delay you got to worry about. Like, you're on your own setup doing a single player game. You're just streaming that through the online marathon, so it's no big deal. But we'll just see what happens. Actually, speaking of that, Adef and I resubmitted our 2P1C submission for SMS Any percent, 2 players, 1 controller. Hoping to get that in. Even if it is an online marathon, we're still going to make it work, because Adef is actually regionally a lot closer to me than he was previously. Not going to say where specifically, not going to dox him, but he's within driving distance for me now, which is good, because assuming it becomes an online marathon, I can just either go to his place, he comes to my place, we stream our thing from there. Assuming we get in, and assuming it's online, we can make it work. So that's pretty exciting.
That's really cool. When we were talking about the recent GDQ event that they did online, I thought of the point that you made. You were just like, but what did you say about the blue? Like, we call it the blue coin tech skip. It's like, we call it a tech skip. I flashed back to the Shift video where they explained what sequence breaking is.
This is like, called a sequence break.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, this skipping of a sequence is called a sequence break.
They didn't say it like that candidly, but it's still pretty funny.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, we call it a sequence break. It's like, oh my god, advanced.
Actually, Bikini Bottom invented sequence breaks.
It is the melee of speedrunning, so I wouldn't be surprised.
Dude, once SpongeBob found sequence breaks, we were like, wait a minute. We can sequence break Mario games too. Whoa!
No!
This is crazy. SpongeBob revolutionized speedrunning. It's nuts.
But you guys were saying that sequence break can be used as like a verb, like to sequence break
like,
something.
To sequence break something.
You could use it meme like that, but like, I don't know. Couldn't you just say to skip something?
True. Well, I guess typically you don't use it in that context, but I think you can. But like, I don't know. Sequence break just sounds cooler. I don't know why that became a thing.
I guess.
I guess it's more descriptive than just skip. It's like, oh, we skipped that. It's like, what is that? That's too vague.
That's literally just me latching on to one thing SM Loader said. There were a few things in that video, like few sentences I actually want to go back and re-listen to, because some of them were fucking packed. Like, and you say that SM Loader is like really good at doing voiceover work, which
he's insane
I believe.
At voiceovers,
and he takes very few takes in order to. I wonder how many takes some of those sentences took, because like I wasn't paying attention, but there were like 4 3-syllable words in I don't know, a sentence, and I'm just like sitting there going like, how? Like, how
Two
did
take
you
loader,
do that?
2 takes at most. I'm telling you. all I'm saying is when we recorded, because actually he did half the voiceovers for the famed Ooh and Ah's Fetch a Fruit evolution video I made.
Everybody loved that.
And I think I mentioned this before, but I just got to reiterate. He did all of his lines in like 1 or 2 takes. And then I did like my classic anywhere from 2 to 10 takes per sentence. I'm so bad at voiceovers, dude. Like I try so hard to sound natural, and then it comes out more artificial for doing that. It's a struggle for me.
Hey,
I'm getting better, but it's never been easy for me.
I remember doing the Dudan voice for Trey
video.
for the 120 Shines World Record History video, and I put it off. I was like Dutch J, where I just put it off for so long, and then I one morning I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna record it on my phone. It wasn't even like on my computer. I was sitting at my kitchen table before I left for work, and I just like recorded it, and then I think it took 3 takes or whatever to do that voice, because I hadn't done that voice in years. Because back in the day,
whatever that voice was.
back in the day, I used to do like not voice work or anything like that, but I used to do like voices where it's just on. I used to have a 2-hour commute from work, so I used to like do. I wouldn't be able to do it now, or I wouldn't be able to do it well now. But I had like a movie voice guy, and I had some pretty good voices I could do in my tenure, and I used to sing along, not really sing along, but have the radio on and record myself on my old iPod Touch doing movie voice to the lyrics of songs on the radio. And some of them were pretty funny to listen back to years ago. I wonder if I could like get them off of the iPod Touch. But
you should like play them on the podcast. That'd be sick.
But yeah, so... What was my point? Oh, so I had to go back into the Dudan voice. So the Dudan voice was my attempt at my movie voice, but it was like half. It was like half my movie voice that I used to do back in 2011. Like for perspective, when I had the 2-hour commute, it was like 2011, 2010. So it was a decade ago, 9 to 10 years ago. So I channeled that for Dudan, and I just sent it to Trey, and he's like, lol, I'm using it. And I'm like, okay, sure.
Dude, it was insane. Like, I was losing my shit listening back to it. But, wait, how did Dudan come up again?
We were talking about voiceovers.
Oh, right.
And I will talk about the one voiceover ever. Sure, I record this podcast every week with you now, but before that, I didn't have any voice work. You know?
Actually, yeah, I can remember. You used to do a lot more voice stuff on your stream in like 2014.
Screamless.
Yeah, that's where Screamless came from.
Screamless.
And you would just like do this voice, like when you had like this shtick where you were Thor plays.
Yeah.
Because people said, oh, you kind of look like Thor. It's like, I am Thor.
No, it came from my buddy Josh. My buddy Josh, who like 1 year was just like, if you don't go as Thor for Halloween, like we're not friends.
Like, what is wrong with you if you don't do that?
Because for anybody that doesn't know, I have long blonde hair, but I also have it's down to my ass now. But it's all tightly packed in a bun. I'm a man bun man. Mm-hmm. It is funny, like during this whole pandemic thing, looking at Twitter and everybody's complaining about not being able to cut their hair.
And whenever I see like the protesters with the "I need a haircut" signs, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
I just see Frenchie on Twitter with like a soft fro. It's like not even that long. It's just kind of puffy. It's just like, I need a haircut, and all these people on wherever just complaining that they don't have haircuts, and I'm sitting there just with this enormous, like, I have such long hair. If you have really short hair, it's not a problem because you can just buzz your head. But if you have really long hair and you've been handling, because I haven't had a legit haircut in probably 4 years, probably longer than that. So
I'd believe it.
Like, apart from trimming the split ends or anything like that. So if you have handled long hair for however long I have, you just kind of tie it up and you go about your day, and then you don't think about it. But if you're in the middle ground, well, like Trey would be, unless he was, except the fact that he's trying to grow his hair out now. But like, if you aren't used to having long hair and you're just like, oh, okay, well, I have a buzz cut and I trim it or I have something that I have to uphold, like something that I have to, a hairdo I have to cater to. Bars.
Dude, we should talk about hair for a bit, because that was actually me growing up. First 23 years of my life, I had to get, well, so growing up, there was a period where I wanted to grow my hair out, but my parents literally wouldn't let me do it. Like, I had to get like my every other month buzz cut, essentially. And now I'm at the point where I'm living alone. I'm a grown-ass man. I can make my own decisions, make my own calls. And actually, before the whole COVID pandemic thing started, I had the idea. I was like, okay, this is it. Before I lose all my hair and go bald, I'm gonna attempt to see what I would look like with longer hair starting now. And a month or two later, you know, coronavirus breaks out. Can't go to the barbershop anymore. And I'm like, well, now I'm committed to this. I have to do this now. So
I did see, like, when you started growing out your hair, I did see, like, a small... You were streaming one time, and you have webcam.
When I did the premiere for the Piana 6 video, probably.
It was before that. So it was, like...
Okay.
It was some time in between you starting and the Piana 6 video. And I saw a clip, or I saw a little bit of your stream, and I was just like, oh, he's in, like, the awkward phase of the hair growth.
Because I wasn't even there yet at that point. I think it's starting to happen now.
And so I was looking at it just like, oh, he's in the awkward phase. And then somebody, I remember during the Q&A period after the Twitch premiere of the Pianta 6 world record history video, somebody said that you looked like a young Tom Cruise.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
So I don't know if that's true, but you know what?
It's funny. That's like a common thing on the internet where people will say someone looks like someone, but it's like someone different every single time, and it's not really true at all. Like, years ago, someone said I look like Shia LaBeouf. I'm like, how the fuck do I look like Shia LaBeouf? The fuck?
That's a weird one.
That's a bit of a stretch, but...
I don't know who you would look like, really. I can't really...
Tom Cruise, apparently.
You look like a young Tom Cruise. Like Maverick.
Our eyes are not similar at all. I don't see the resemblance.
Our eyes are not similar.
You gotta look at the eyes, man. The eye structure, it's not the same.
I got for people that look like me. I used to. So I had the Thor one from like when Thor was like I started growing out my hair in probably 2009 or so because I just didn't care. And my barber way back in the day when I used to cut it fairly short used to be like, you should try growing out your hair. Like, your hair is pretty good. I don't know. It's soft. It's like, something about
thanks.
Something about my hair made him say, oh, it's all like it would be very good long. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe. And then I just kept cutting it.
That's kind of... Is there like a conspiracy going on? Wouldn't the barber want you to get haircuts more often?
I know.
What the hell's going on here?
He's just like, oh, you're paying me money. Oh, maybe your hair looks good. Like it would do well not getting. Maybe you should not cut it.
Maybe it's like what if it's like a backhanded compliment? Like, actually, I don't want you to come back. So yeah, keep growing your hair out. Yeah.
I actually secretly hate you, so you should leave.
That's what he's saying the whole time.
Just like, your personality is atrocious.
You can interpret that as a good thing or a bad thing, depending how you look at it.
I've never. I think at some point I thought of it that way, but for a few years after, I was just like, oh, maybe I should start growing. So I started growing my hair, and my hair was the length of Thor's hair in the movie Thor. Like, exactly.
Thor from the movie Thor.
Thor from the movie. Thor from the movie Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's where I started, and then I started streaming in 2014 when I had the similar length hair again. Maybe I didn't start growing my hair out until like 2011 or something like that. I don't know. And yeah, and then there's Thor Plays. All back to Thor Plays. It was literally a month. There was a month period of time where I streamed on Twitch.
It seemed like longer than that for some reason.
Maybe it was like 3 months. But I would preface all of my streams were Thor Plays dash whatever game I was playing, like SMS Any % or DMC Devil May Cry.
It was funnier than that. Your title would literally be Thor Plays Any %.
You know what? It was true to a degree.
But it's like, okay, he's playing the game any %. What does that mean?
I am playing any %. Super Mario Sunshine.
Then again, the game your stream does say Mario Sunshine is what you're playing, but I just thought it was funny. Like, you look at just the title. Funny.
It's funny now that I have extremely long hair that nobody can see it. Like, if I take it out of the bun on stream, it's just, I don't know. It doesn't, if it's not recently washed, it just kind of like falls and it's just kind of like whatever. And now it's just all over the place, you know? But like back in the day, I had the hair for streaming where it just like fell perfectly. And if I look back at VODs from 2014, I'm like, man, my hair looked good. Now it's just like insanely long. I should probably cut
isn't
this
it
shit.
easy? Once it gets long enough, you can just like take some scissors and make it all even to like a certain length. And then it's like, boom, done.
That's exactly what you can do. But I haven't done that
so
in a
easy.
while. Yeah, like, it's funny. I don't know. We're talking about hair. Fuck it.
This is the hair podcast.
This is the hair podcast now. Literally all I do with my hair, and I think a lot of people, my hair is fairly manageable in comparison to a wide swath of people. It's just like, oh, I have to do this and this and that. I shampoo, conditioner it. All I do is like shampoo it every week once. And
just once a week.
Every time I wake up, I brush it and then I tie it in a bun and then I'm good for the day. Like that's literally all I have to do. But a lot of people are jealous of that, where it's just like, really? That's all you have to do? I'm just like, yeah. It's just like, oh, I have to do all of this work in order to maintain my hair, or I would just cut it all off.
See, I'm worried that I have the hair that's not intended to be long. So like, I go to the barber and I'm like, I want to grow my hair out. And they're like, I don't know about that, but okay. Like,
I'd prefer you pay me $20 every
maybe
month and a half.
You actually should keep getting a buzz cut and keep paying me money. That might be better. I think I'm getting into the awkward phase now. I can't decide what the front of my hair is gonna do right now. Like, I don't. I
love this podcast.
I don't think bangs look good on me at all. So it's like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I'll figure it out. Basically, I'm growing my hair out. Sid's gonna give me advice because he's the master of long hair, I guess. So.
I have one last bit about haircutting. It is fucking hilarious for me to go to a barbershop. I have been to 2 barbershops within the past couple years to get like my split ends done. And it is really funny to get there and then being like, oh, it's $20, and then I pay them like $30 and just like $10 tip or whatever. And if a woman of the same hair length did the same thing, it would be like, I have no idea how much more it would be, but it's just so because men usually have the more simpler hairstyling or hair upkeep where they go in and just like, oh, it's a buzz, or it's like, oh, it's a short cut or whatever. And I go in and it's just the same as every other woman, to be honest. Like, I'm not
You're not being sexist, you're just being honest.
But it's just I have extremely long hair and they have to do the same kind of thing, and it's funny how much more money it is for the exact same thing.
I would have never known that. I would have assumed that doing your hair would be like the same as a woman's hair.
Nope, it's men's prices and women's prices, not length of hair prices and length of hair prices. Nope. Pretty funny.
Damn, that's crazy.
So that's our hair talk.
Yeah, hope you enjoyed hair talk on video games are hard.
You know, video games are hard, and you know what? They make you. To be fair, a lot of DGens don't cut their hair. So somebody
I'm embracing
out there,
the DGen appearance for now. I don't know. I don't know. I might look like shit if it gets long enough, but I'm gonna tough it through. There could be a light at the end of the tunnel. And if it doesn't look good, you can just cut it off. It's easy.
Yeah, and then you can just buzz it.
No big deal.
Easy. See, the main reason that I've grown out so much hair is that I'm just going to donate it, but I can't donate it now because of all the COVID stuff.
Yeah, wait till that's over.
So I'm just like waiting until I'm sick of having really long hair, and then I'm just like going to donate all of it. So there's like kind of a selfless aspect to it, but also it's a selfish. I don't want to spend so much money.
One more question I'm curious about. How much weight did your hair add to you think?
Not too much.
Like a pound?
I wouldn't know how to
I don't know
it.
like the actual weight of hair in that volume.
It's not heavy. Not heavy.
All right. You say so.
In order to really estimate the weight of it, I jiggled my man bun around to feel how much it weighed. I don't know, probably 3 pounds.
Before you cut it all off, you should weigh yourself beforehand, then cut it off, then weigh yourself after.
You know what? That sounds like a plan.
There you go.
Okay.
Anyway, I guess we could talk about the new world record that happened. World record.
News segment. SMS. Any percent. New world record.
We've never talked about SMS in this podcast before. But we're going to tell you right now, there was a new world record in what category? Like slowing down like all black Piantas probably?
It's any percent.
The main category? That's crazy.
Yeah. So if you've stuck around through, all the hair fans out there that stayed this long, speedrunning is where you go through a game real fast. And the any percent category of Super Mario Sunshine was beaten in record time this past week by none other than Guy2308.
A prodigy of the game, you could say.
How long has he been playing? 2 years? 2.5 years?
A little over 2 years. He's really, really good. Like, he has a really good mentality. Doesn't really have any weaknesses from what I can tell. Like, he's pretty strong early game and late game. And he's just always consistently improved and has never really plateaued from what I saw, which is nuts.
For 96 Shine fans, he's the same guy that has 96 Shine world record. So he's going for the sweep, kind of. I don't actually know if that's a thing.
The only record he's missing is 120 right now, which he could honestly take with just a little bit of effort, probably.
But SB's going for it instead.
Yeah, I think there's a few players on the verge of a 257. Like Paper could get it, Oatflicker could get it, SB and Guy, I guess.
120 looking kind of interesting. Even though, sure, any percent, new world record, 9-second improvement. I don't know what the RNG was.
It was a 1:14.04. I have no clue how the run actually was, to be honest.
I heard it was good. And then
well, you could say that 1:13 might be possible.
Yeah, you could definitely say that.
5 seconds away.
People have like 111 some of bests now.
Yeah, it's becoming more common. Like back in the day, Nindide, before he retired, initially had like a 112 even. And yeah, it's just getting crazier now.
People are getting really good at the video game. So last podcast, I talked about how much I had been streaming and how kind of motivated I was to play any percent, even though like I was playing it every day. And now a week later, I'm sitting here going like, yeah, I haven't touched the game in a week. Yeah. I haven't streamed it. I haven't been trying. I don't know. It's just my motivation comes in waves to play that game.
Yeah, same.
And, I don't know, and I'm on an off kick now. Like I was streaming every day, and then now it's been like 4 days since my last stream, probably.
I'm at the point where I'm pretty sure I'll come back to serious attempts of any percent someday.
What?
But there is a possibility that it may never happen. I'm just at my lowest point in terms of motivation for that game right now. That being said, I'm still active in the current sort of community thing going on, the stock market of Sunshine.
Yeah, I didn't do any stock things.
I reinvested my stocks this week. I made a fair bit of profit. I'm like middle of the pack somewhere in terms of the placings. You start out with $1,000 imaginary money to invest into runners that have like a stock value based on how good they are, plus their potential to PB, plus how active they are, all factor in.
Yep.
And we explained this all a few episodes ago, but essentially I went from my initial thousands to 1,100 something after the first month. And
better than me.
I'll briefly cover my new portfolio, my second month investments.
Yeah.
The only way I can win at all feasibly is the strategy I'm going for, which is all in on JJ, all in on Yamata, then some left over on. I had like Sorrow and Katsena. But yeah. I literally invested in 6 JJ stocks. So JJ, get that 113 for me. I believe in you, JJ.
He can do it.
If he gets that, I might actually be like in the lead, but I don't really know. Like the math's kind of complicated, but it could happen.
I only earned $56 in my first month.
I earned more than Sid, which is good.
I think Lumardi PB'd and Pappuccino like barely PB'd or something.
Yeah, you didn't invest in Huff?
No, I invested in Quan.
Ooh,
it was a choice between Huffley or Puff or Quaniza, and both being good people members, they will inevitably fail me, even though Huff didn't. Huff didn't fail, and
I invested in Huff. I got some returns for it.
I didn't trust the Huff, and instead I invested in the two other question marks of the good people, which were Quaniza and Cathlon. And Cathlon got sucked up by Valorant.
Oh, we both got fucked by Calf.
He was on a tear. He got his low 115. He was below me in PBs, or like higher than me.
He was like on track to bot me any day, and then Valorant comes out, and then Valorant's all he does now. So
now he just plays Valorant, which is fine. Valorant's a cool game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not mad about that. I'm just mad like from a stock perspective.
No, I get you. I'm like,
fuck, why did I invest in him when Valorant's coming out? Jesus.
Dude, I'd like to be able to put more time into that game, but my brain doesn't let me. So
I actually respect him playing Valorant. That's definitely up his alley, and he's quite the strong FPSer. So
he can get good.
Well, Calf's actually strong in pretty much any game he puts his mind to. So
yeah, that's just his thing. He's really good at games.
He's a true gamer. But yeah, I'm hoping that either JJ or Yamata get a monster PB, put me on pretty good track in the stock market.
I don't know who I would change. Like I guess I would sell my Calf and Quan stocks.
Oh, I didn't mention also I invested in Nebulad last week, and he got a PB that's a second better than mine, so I got some value off that.
Wait, in last week?
Or last month, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's in months, but I keep saying week for some reason.
I don't know how many people are investing in me this month.
But
I feel
shout out to Nebulad.
I feel like I was grinding the potential stock, trying to get everybody to buy me like a week and a half ago. But I don't know if over the past week somebody's been like, "Oh, he's not playing anymore. Maybe I shouldn't buy his stock." So I don't know.
Yeah, I almost considered investing in you this month, but then I remembered you're kind of demotivated right now. So I'm like, maybe I'll do Sorrow
it comes in
instead.
Waves. You know what? Watching that Shift video, I might want to play some Super Mario Sunshine.
Shouldn't have watched that video after all.
Sometimes makes zero sense what motivates me. It's like I said, watching Ludwig play shitty Super Mario 64 speedruns on emulator or 16 star. It motivates me to play the game because he's so passionate about it. But then also watching Guy, it's like what I said last week. Watching Guy, he didn't have world record at the time, but he had really he got like a 1:14.27 first run of the day, and I'm just sitting there going like, I don't want to play this video game.
Guy just PBs. It almost seems effortless, and it's just like world record. Well, it was world record potential. Now it actually is world record. It happened, so it's just nuts.
So I just need to watch people that are bad, and then I'm like,
yeah.
You know what?
Unfortunately, I'm not streaming, so you can't use me as a reference. But
it's sad. Haha,
self-ownage.
SSX tricky trick.
Before I talk about tricky tricks in SSX Tricky, before we wrap up the stock discussion, let's get my Switchmaster rants out here.
Oh yeah?
Switchmaster baited me so hard, and I think it was intentional, maybe. He tweeted something that was specifically tailored to weed out the non-knowers, such as myself. So before the stock market started, Switchmaster tweeted out a PB, a fake PB, I might add, but the tweet itself didn't mention that because it couldn't be accepted because I guess like some audio was missing for a number of levels, which is sure, whatever. But also the tweet mentioned, all right, moving on to 120 shines now. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I want to invest in him. He's going to play 120. Turns out that was a lie. Also turns out it was a fake PB. So he starts off the month just like a free PB, like mid 117, no problem. And then now he has like a mid 116. So let it be known, if it wasn't for that tweet, I would have invested a couple at least stocks in Switchmaster, but he played me good. So now I'm paying the price, I guess.
These Zoomer memes, man.
I can't believe it. That tweet owned me so hard. I don't know if I should be mad or like give him props for that, but I got owned. So
why would you give him props for that? I don't even understand.
Dude,
I
props
still don't
for owning
really understand.
you, bro. I would have invested in you, but you did the thing where you're like, I'm gonna play 120, JK, lol.
See, go for it. Sorry.
I got fucked. Go ahead.
See, you say it like you not having invested in him actually affects him.
It doesn't affect him. That's the thing. It doesn't matter who invests in you. It's entirely just from like the player, like who you're investing in. So
yeah.
it doesn't help him at all. It's just honestly, it was a plot to fuck with Trey, and it worked. Good job.
It's more of a clout thing. How many people have invested in you? I remember when Huff started playing a little bit before the stock market opened, and then a lot of people bought him, and he was just like, fuck yeah, I'm on like cloud 9. Everybody invested in me. I'm following up on these Huff stocks. And I don't remember how many people invested. He said it was like 20 something. Dude,
that's also, I knew with that knowledge of like his clout chasing habits. Yeah. Like if I invested in more, it's only going to further fuel his ego, and he's going to want to PB even harder. And sure enough, he did.
See, what's funny is that 5 people invested in me, and I wasn't really like happy or sad. I remember I told people before the stock markets actually started that you should not buy me. Like, I do not want to play the game. And then I ended up playing the game. But to be fair, I didn't even PB. But people were like, oh, now he's going to PB.
You were right to say don't buy you.
I was right. Don't buy me. Second month or third month even. Who knows?
Tarek was saying month 3 Sid. So maybe that's the month to do it.
Maybe that's the month to do it. Who knows? But yeah, congrats to Guy on the world record. 1404.
That's insane. Best of luck on the 113 grind. I'm sure he'll get it like in 2 days. So, like, I honestly can't emphasize enough just how effortless he makes PBing look. It's actually nuts. There's no other player like him.
It makes me sad.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of makes me want to quit.
I tweeted out actually when he got that world record. Like I quote tweeted it and said, "Do I even speedrun?"
Nobody speedruns.
Like, you look at like a super fucking jacked power lifter and you're like, do I even lift, bro? But this is like, do I even speedrun?
It's really nuts. It's quite sad. I just don't like having to not make mistakes. See, I've done this.
This is why
rant.
ILs are great.
ILs are fun enough. But I don't know. I always equate it to Tetris, and I don't know if I've done it on the podcast, but I always equate it to Tetris, where if I make a mistake in Tetris and I block off my what's the hole called? What's the hole called in the garbage line? Just the well. Line. The well? Do they call it the well?
They call it a well. Yep.
Okay. I don't know Tetris terms, but I'm decent at the game. So if you block off your well, you can still like claw your way back into somewhat of a fighting stance and have a fighting chance in the game, even if you blocked off your hole for like, I don't know, however many moves.
I mean, especially in early game where nothing's really happening. Yeah,
but in SMS or just in speedrunning in general, if you block off your proverbial well in speedrunning, that time that you lose is gone. Like, you cannot you can make the time back up against your PB, but you can't earn the time that you lost. Like, that time is just gone unless you reset.
Yeah, so, as silly as it sounds, every second counts in a speedrun.
And I don't know, kind of annoying.
That's why annoying. I'm done with 120 because it's like, fuck, man, keeping that up for nearly 3 hours now that it's sub 3. Keeping up that, like, not making mistakes for that long, it's just, it gets to you.
And I know somebody's listening to this and just like, Sid, you have a 116. Shut up.
I can take a shit and get a 116. I'm ready.
Yeah, a guy can get a shit in 116. He can get one.
Guy can get a shit and a 116, dude.
And take one.
And yeah, all that stuff.
And I understand that it's not great. And I was talking about it on stream where it was just like, you have to play perfect and stuff. And somebody was just like, yeah, you have a 116. I'm like, yeah, I know I have a 116. Or I guess nobody in chat said it. My heart said it.
I hope this person in chat was like some random person.
No, it was my heart.
Isn't that great when it's like a non-runner's like, it's just easy. You just like, this guy has a 114 and he made some mistakes, so you can do it easily.
It's tough.
Like, no?
It's tough to play really well. And
consistently.
You know what? It is novel, like playing casually or playing whatever. It is nice to be able to make a mistake, you know, and not feel like your soul is and I've coined this phrase, your soul is leaking. Like it feels like your soul is just like kind of dying, and I don't know why it feels like that sometimes, where you just make a big mistake and you're just like, ugh. But in my mind, for speedrunning, there's like a give and take, where there's a point where the run is too bad to continue, so you have to reset. But before that actually happens, it's more valuable for your mental, for the mental game, or like your mentality or whatever you want to say, for you to actually continue that run. So like there's the balance where eventually the scale will tip, and I've made so many mistakes that I need to reset it in order for my mentality to be good. Because if you make too many mistakes and you do no resets, and I do a lot of no resets, if you finish that run or make yourself finish that run, you won't be able to do another run afterwards, and you'll just be done. But if you haven't made a lot of mistakes and you reset before the scales tip, it's actually more unhealthy for your mentality to reset.
Yeah, people like to make the point that, oh, to improve mentality, just do a bunch of no resets. It's easy. But no. Oftentimes, the no reset actually impacts your mentality in a negative way.
It's like when Cheese was on the show and he was talking about Simply doing his no reset run where he actually cried.
Yeah, because all this pressure's building up of just all these mistakes, and you just, no matter how hard you try, the rest of the run, you just can't seem to play well. And then you just let it all out at once, and he cried on stream because of that. So.
And it like, I totally understand it, but if you're like, races are fun and stuff, and I don't know if I don't know anything about getting the point where I'd cry, not to talk shit on him, but I don't. But
hey man, 64 is a whole new beast in Sunshine.
You know what? To quote Calf, it is like learning a textbook. So,
and school does make me cry, so it does make sense.
So there's just a point where, and it feels like my soul is like dying. Like my soul is leaking. I don't know why I use the term leaking, but it feels like my soul is leaking. And eventually it's more unhealthy to force yourself to finish that run than to reset. In my mind. So like, sure, I'll be able to finish, like in longer categories, it's much harder. Like no reset, back when I was doing the no reset grind for a month and a half, like it was a month and a half straight every day of 96 shines early last year. I don't know how you did
that, but props for that.
I said I was going to go for a year. I did not quite make it to a year. I made it 45 days, but I did get world record out of it. So that's cool. But there was a no reset every day of 96 shines. And some days it was tough. It was really tough. It's if you're not a speedrunner, you might not understand it, but you can feel better about like a 118 versus you can feel so sick to your stomach over finishing a 117 any percent run versus you can feel really good about finishing a 119. Like it just depends on what happened in the run.
True.
And or like what you were thinking about at certain moments, or like how fast your time loss was. If it was relatively consistent, but you started off with a Pianta 5 death, you could feel really good about the run, or you could feel sick about it for the entirety of the run after Pianta 5. And it's just like, because I've finished those runs. I've finished a 120 and felt okay about it, like within the past 2 months probably. And world record being a 114 and my PB being a 116, 120 isn't that great for me. But, and then like next run or within the next few days, I finished a 118 or a 117 and I feel sick about it. So it's actually quite interesting to like think about those kinds of things where it's just like, oh, that was way better. That was 3 minutes better than the run that I felt pretty good about, but I feel so much worse about it. Maybe it was like on pace until a certain point, or what? Like maybe you don't want to have like,
you don't want like the Reed mentality where you're on world record pace into Penna, and any little mistake you just like get depressed over because like, dang, it's not world record pace anymore. You don't want to like fall victim to that for sure.
And then there's the part of your brain where it's just like, oh, I fucked up. Like any small, like if do you know what's the worst one though? Like to bring it very niche SMS, losing time on letting go of to bring back Screamless or whatever. To bring back Screamless, if you let go of the nose too early, and then and you don't get Screamless and you don't actually hit the blooper at all, and you have to go re-grab it, that like those kind of mistakes that are just like, if I pulled for an extra frame, if I didn't. Yeah. If I looked at my visual cue correctly, if I listened for the right audio cue, if I just invested that one extra step, and sure, I might have gotten a scream or whatever kind of trick you're thinking about, you would have not lost that time. But now for some stupid reason, like you rushing or whatever, you lose 4 or 5 seconds. And it's just those kind of mistakes make you feel so much worse. Whereas just like if you screwed up a complicated trick or something that you've been it works. It affects you more if you've been like practicing the level recently, where it's just like if you practice a lot of Piantas in Need and then you screw it up in a run, it just negatively impacts your mentality so much. But if you play badly on a level you haven't been practicing, it doesn't really weigh on you as much. Maybe you lose time and you're just like, oh, but you're not like, oh, I've literally been investing 7 hours for the past week into this level and I still can't get it. Like it's,
what you got to realize when you messed up that level is practice won't help you get a better time every single time. It will just help you over like the long course of like many attempts of that level. It's going to be better on average. And that's just like, that's what you got to realize. Then that might help your mentality, even though like it sucks in the moment when you have just an offshoot bad run of a level you practice a lot. But you'll notice through practice, just in general, you'll do better than you would have more often than if you didn't practice, I guess.
Yep. That makes a lot of sense.
There's no way to prove it. Like you can't like do like one go through without practice, then like time travel back, do that practice and do it again. So there's no way to prove it actually works, but you will feel like over the course of doing more runs that, yeah, I guess on average I'm doing better on this than I would have had I neglected this level. So
I've just learned that like the longer I've speedrun, the more like every speedrunner is different. And sure, like that's just a blanket statement and it could be pointless, but it's kind of true. Like not every...
Some people, no resets are good. Some people don't like no resets. It just kind of depends.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody works differently within this. I'm more of a no reset guy to a point. Like I say, I have a tipping point where if I continue that run, it'll be more unhealthy than resetting it. And I've figured that out more recently. But like Reed is a constant resetter. I don't know if there's any better. There's no advice I could give Reed in speedrun, or like there's no. I guess there's no speedrunner at all that I could give universal advice to that would work for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Like every speedrunner that comes into SMS or like just like, oh, what are the simple tricks that you give to whatever entering the community speedrunner? You go, okay, watch people that are good. Don't shit on yourself too hard, I guess.
Because you're not going to be free guides on speedrunner.com/SMS plus link to the Discord.
Yeah, like link to the Discord. Don't be shy to ask questions. Watch people.
That one is so true. Like, especially recently in the Sunshine community, if you ask anything and help, guaranteed someone of note, either Noki Doki or JPEP or a number of people, will respond within the next few hours. So definitely do that.
With like the correct answer.
Yeah, like not just some bullshit. Like they actually know what they're talking about. So
like I've been talking to JPEP about apparently another niche Super Mario Sunshine thing. The quick kill immediately after airstrip in of Shadow Mario, like while he's kidnapping Peach, while he's like faux kidnapping Peach. You have to like hold R for like a frame before. It's not an actual spam spray. It's like you have to hold R slightly earlier than the A press.
Well, the best way to do that trick, I thought, was to not hold R at all and just like click R and A right when you get to him.
Yeah.
Because holding it beforehand like fucks it up somehow.
Well, JPEP, maybe I have to talk to JPEP again. JPEP was saying that you have to delay the A press or something. Like, I don't remember. It was a week and a half ago. I don't fucking remember the exact conversation, but it's like a 2-frame window for a spam spray rather than a 1-frame window where you have to press the A input 1 frame later than the R input.
Right.
So it's weird. It's just a weird version of spam sprays versus every other one. And it's just like a random thing that brought, because I kept screwing up that quick kill, and because I'm me and I don't use hacked file or I just use peach file, I would just eat the 10-second time loss where you screw up Shadow Mario, he goes past a certain point, it takes him 10 more seconds to get to the point where you have to have him continue from, where it just takes 10 seconds more of an animation time to get there. Mm-hmm. And I would just eat it because I'm just like, whatever. Like, my time isn't that good to reset. Also, if I reset here, my mentality is dead.
Sid, you have a 116. You can make any mistake you want.
You know what, Trey? I don't say you're dishonest. But yeah,
I am voicing the voice of reason, which is Twitch chat. So,
like, being able to ask questions. When I was back in school, I feel like that was my one thing that from high school to now that I've learned, where it's not shameful to really ask questions. It depends on what you're like asking questions about, really. Like in speedrunning, you can just...
You know what they always say? There's no such thing as a stupid question unless that question is, can you do Yoshi Skip and Pianta 1? Everything but that is a perfectly valid question.
You can do Yoshi Skip and Pianta 1. It won't work. But
no, I mean, you know what I mean.
You can do it.
Can you go to the secret in Pianta 1? There we go.
I'm being a pest to Trey.
You're being a little stinker. I don't know.
Like I had a really hard time in grade 11. I don't even know what the fuck the course was called. Was it just calculus? I don't even know. Grade 11
Math.
calculus? There was some more complicated title to it. I don't remember what it was.
Like pre-calc or like algebra 2 or something?
No, I would remember algebra 2. It's like, I don't know. It was some weird niche math.
Algebra.
Because before... Like in elementary school, I used to be really good at math, and then I hit a point where they added letters to it, and I was just like, and I was slightly worse. I was slightly more average. I wasn't as good as I was. And in grade 11, I was really bad at math. I wasn't really bad at math. I was really bad at learning, I guess. And we hit parabolas. And I don't know if I've talked about parabolas on the podcast. I probably have.
It sounds like algebra 2 to me.
Parabolas got my goat. Like, I just couldn't. I still don't understand what sine, cosine, and tans. I don't remember. I don't remember. And what really would have helped me is, like, back in the day when I was in school, it would have really helped me if I was less shy about the things that I didn't know and actively asked questions, or like maybe had a tutor or something, where like in certain courses I just didn't understand some things and I wasn't willing to ask the question because I'm just like, oh, I can figure it out on my own. Like I'm smart enough, I can figure it out on my own.
I'll just read the textbook, I'll be fine.
What speedrunning's really taught me is that like asking questions is really not a shameful thing. And I know, like, back in high school when I was in class, like, teachers did say shit like that, like generic, like, oh, don't be shy to ask questions, blah blah blah.
Yeah, but like, I never you thought they were saying it just so that you would ask questions, when it's like, well, it actually is stupid though, so I'm not gonna ask.
No, Trey, they were talking to the stupid people. They weren't talking to me.
Oh, I get it.
Exactly. So it was a bad mentality that I had, and I in fact,
I'm a smart person, I don't need questions.
I was in fact the stupid person. So yeah, that's one of the things that speedrunning's really taught me, where like don't be shy to ask questions, no matter how stupid the question is. It's just like, oh,
well, especially in like video gaming, because it's such a niche thing. You wouldn't, like, no one figures out everything in a speedrun by themselves. You gotta ask around for like how to do certain setups and stuff.
There is inherently less shame in it. I don't know why. Like, there's some, but Like being able to ask questions is very much easier in speedrunning, but it has made me realize that I should have asked more questions in high school or whatever. Like it's not like I didn't graduate or anything like that. It's just it would have helped me probably. You know what? I would understand parabolas at this point probably.
There's a surprising amount of life lessons I've learned from my years of speedrunning.
Yeah.
Namely, like the art of practice and how any Joe Schmo can become good at pretty much any skill with the right kind of practice.
Yeah.
Like before speedrunning, I always thought, oh, you got to be like super talented to be a master in any craft or art. But honestly, like kind of motivating when you speedrun, you realize if I applied this much time to something maybe actually useful in life,
yeah,
I'd be really good at that thing. So
like, oh, I could like invest time in becoming a carpenter.
I could invest time into bettering the world, but I'm investing it into speedrunning and being sick of video games.
It is a valuable skill.
Skills are hard.
It is a valuable skill. You are correct. Like I have thought about being like, oh, I could, I don't know, the way that my brain has shaped over speedrunning is just like, oh, I could like learn something. You know,
I always have that thought
good.
Where it's, if I put these 5,000 hours into piano instead of Mario Sunshine, how good would I be?
It's the same mentality I have, but I don't take it out of video games. Where it's just like, sure, I could become a carpenter, or sure I could learn how to be a plumber, and or whatever, or whatever I could do. Instead, I'm like, I got good at Tetris and I got good at SMS. Maybe I should get good at Valorant. Like maybe I should try to get good at FPS games.
Yeah, it definitely applies like between games as well, for sure. Even more so, because ultimately, like you're not gonna be able to apply those quote unquote 5,000 hours to any discipline that you want. It has to be something that you're motivated to do and have a passion for. Yeah. And we're both pretty passionate about video games and playing them fast, I guess. So that's where it came from. Not so much passionate about more real worldy things. You know?
Slow, fuck that.
Cruise boost that bitch.
Cruise boost that bitch. But yeah, back to the like if you're trying to get in, like the universal advice for anybody, like everybody has their own, I guess, like eventually when you get into speedrunning, you have your own method or you develop your own method.
You got to develop it. Like when I first started learning, I had no clue what I was doing, but it's sort of, especially getting into the community, you sort of figure out how things work and how to get better.
Yeah, as of late, I didn't realize it was like I would prefer to do a no reset. It would be nice to get a no reset done each stream. It's not required, but it'd be nice. And there's the tipping point thing. Like I have the tipping point. So it's like something that you develop. Eventually you just feel like you need to reset or whatever.
Well, back when speedrunning was more novel to me, and this probably goes for anyone, you don't feel as much of the soul suckage from fucking up a speedrun. You're just more glad to be even doing the act of speedrunning, and just the idea of finishing any run is like, that was awesome. I finished this whole game in an hour, 22 minutes.
Yeah.
But nowadays, now that we're so much more numb to it, it's sort of like expected you finish a run within this threshold of times. It's like, well, that run fucking sucked. It was a 117. I'm going to kill myself. Whereas back in the day, you didn't. Back in the day, it was just, especially in 120, whenever I just like finished a whole 120 run when I was starting out, when I had like 4-hour times, I was thinking, holy shit, that's awesome. I just did 100% of Sunshine in one sitting. That's so cool. But then as years went by, it's more like, okay, well, yeah.
Yeah. I like when I first started speedrunning, I did feel that, where it's just like, oh, I sat down and played all of Sunshine Any %. That took me 2.5 hours, but cool. That was cool. I've never done that with any game before. Usually it takes me however long to play Dead Space or whatever. Well, I'm trying to channel like what games I played when I started speedrunning, but yeah,
Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
But I feel like I still have some sort of degree of, oh, I finished a run today, you know?
Yeah, it's nowhere near, not even close to as potent as it was when I started, but it's definitely there to some extent. It's
like the nostalgia where I was talking about like OOT, where I probably would have some nostalgia for OOT, but watching so many speedruns, it has dissipated to a degree. Where just like any point, The only, I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast, but the only little bit of nostalgia that I have in SMS is literally the save text box, where it's just like that little
I don't
chime.
think you mentioned
plays.
as the save text box.
The save like chime where you just like, oh, you got to shine.
Oh,
save
dude,
and
yeah, we
continue.
never hear that, do we?
We never hear that.
Like,
So, yeah, I have like a shred of nostalgia with SMS where every now and not even every time I hear it, but every now and then I hear it, I'm like, oh.
Yeah,
Like,
we were hearing that throughout our 2P1C playthrough because when we were doing emulator practice, we would just keep memory card in because it's confusing fucking with that shit.
Yep.
And I was hearing it, and I was like, "There's that noise I don't hear anymore."
Sometimes it's just noises you don't hear in specific games that bring you back.
Or like going back to NTSCU and playing Pianissimo.
Yeah, and having
like, oh, there's
race
music here. That's
on.
cool.
Yeah, like the novel things are what you attach to in speedrunning, or attach to nostalgia-wise in speedrunning.
And especially when speedrunning as a concept is novel to you, that's when you're in your honeymoon phase and just doing runs at all, regardless of how many mistakes you make. It's just awesome, and you haven't died inside yet. So
yeah, your soul hasn't been sucked out.
The soul suckage is inevitable. You gotta deal with it your own way.
But it's only if you're passionate about, like right now, I'm not passionate about speedrunning at all. So my soul suckage is at an all-time low.
You can't get your soul sucked if you're not playing the game.
But I did watch that shift speedrun and world record history thing. I did, I don't know. Who knows? Within the next 2 days, I could be playing.
God damn it, why did
Sunshine.
SpongeBob have to motivate you? Why did I not invest in you?
Is it
I
closed?
should have known watching Shift's video would motivate you again.
Nah. I feel like in 2016 I'd care about people investing in me or anything like that, but nowadays
there's no
I'm just
reason
like,
to care who invests in you unless you're Huff and you care about that. And you get off to the idea of like, oh yeah, they invested in me. That's so sick.
He did PB by like 2 minutes. He got a 118, right?
The more you fuel Huff's ego, the higher he exceeds in his shit. Sorry, I love you, Huff. But yeah,
dude, I love Huff. We watched Ergo Proxy recently.
I watched the last 2 episodes. I had no idea what the fuck was happening.
I watched the last 5. I have no idea past what you know.
I never really watch anime. The most anime I watch is from Fire Emblem, which I play and don't really watch. Unless it's cutscenes.
Menuing.
But it's got the
PogChamp.
anime art style, so I call it anime. Fuck it. I'm a weeb. I'm becoming a Shadow Mario 27. Okay, I wouldn't go that far, but I guess we're getting close to wrapping this up.
Probably.
But I will just go on and say I've been still playing Animal Crossing daily, doing my playthrough of Radiant Dawn. It's a sick game so far. I'll share more thoughts on it later when I actually finish the game, but I'm making a lot of progress. And I'm still grinding SSX Tricky, an hour or so a night on emulator, doing some show-off practice like I mentioned last episode. I've been trying to grind and actually get serious about show-off mode in that game, which is the high scoring mode versus just race ILs, which are for in-game time. And I've definitely made a lot of improvements already through the practice I've done. So I think the prospect of a 3.5 million point Garibaldi whenever I finish my Fire Emblem playthrough and start streaming some attempts, it should be a fun time streaming that. Looking forward to it.
Sounds fun.
And what's up with you, Sid?
I think I'm gonna buy Baba Is You.
Yes.
I'm gonna take the dive into Baba Is You because Feasible Weasel was playing it yesterday. Mello was playing it today, and just a couple friends of ours, and we were just like talking about it. And I felt so lost in the conversation. And I like puzzle games. Like I've talked about The Witness on this podcast. Trey and I have talked about The Witness.
I love The Witness.
The Witness is a great game. Witness is top 10 games of all time.
If you haven't played it yet, play The Witness. Even if you don't like puzzle games, you'll probably like it.
It's probably on sale. It was free on the Epic Store at some point.
I got it for free, but I would have paid money for it, knowing it was good going into it.
It's a great game. So I'm going to play Baba's You. I've heard it's a good puzzle game. I don't think I'm going to stream it.
Yeah, I would not stream that game.
Yeah, I don't plan on doing that.
You were asking for a recipe for disaster of hand holding if you stream it.
It's just like, what the fuck? Flag is Baba, you idiot. I don't know what's going on.
You got to say Baba is flag is win, and then you win.
Oh my god, fuck.
Yeah, for those who don't know, I played Baba Is You on my Hawaii vacation, which happened just before COVID hit, That was a whew,
Augers.
close call right there. And I'm going to challenge Sid right now, if he buys the game, see if you can complete 97 total levels with no hints. That's how many I beat, was 97 total levels. So I'm curious how you'll do.
I think I'll be fine.
You're probably going to fare better than me. You seem more puzzly inclined than I am. So
you know what? If I get the Google tutor, don't be shy to ask questions, everybody.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy it. It definitely you will get stuck many times. Oh, yeah. Even with how smart you are at puzzles.
I got stuck in The Witness. Like, what's funny about, like, I don't know if we talked about it on the podcast, blah, blah, blah. But The Witness, I got stuck on the, like, final puzzle for, I think it took me, like, 2 years of coming back to it to, like, try it a few times and then turning it off for a while.
Not even, like, the ending one, where, like, the music plays?
Yeah.
Yeah, that thing. Yeah.
I got stuck on that for a while. Trey solved it in like a week and a half because it's like speed and you had to figure out a set of puzzles that you actually never have a tutorial for. Like you kind of do, but it's
I think it took me probably less than a week. It was like a few days probably.
Yeah. But
well, it wasn't like, it was mostly stuff you should already know.
Yeah.
But there was like a maze aspect to it that was kind of cool. I think I failed like 7 or 8 times, like on the final column section. It was like raging each time, but I finally got through it.
See, you never realized that the fourth puzzle, whatever the puzzle in the small tunnel beforehand, was actually a 3D representation of that column room.
Yeah, I never even realized that. I just like bullshitted my way through the maze section.
Dude, when I figured that out, I was like, oh my God, this is insane. Like, this whole bit is insane. But I was really good at the puzzles up until that point. And then I think at that point, I was more invested in, like, the secret of that game than I was in finishing the tunnel aspect. And then I was coming back to the game every now and then and just poking at it. And then eventually I found it out. And I was just like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, awesome. I always heard how, like, legendarily hard that final puzzle is. But honestly, it took me, like, maybe a couple hours to, like, sort of understands the gist of what it will take to beat the whole thing, and then I just had to do it. And it wasn't like, it was pretty hard, but like I didn't find it like too crazy hard. I think I got stuck more on like the main game than Sid did though. There were like some puzzles that really stopped me for a while. Like
once you've learned everything, I guess the tunnel, it makes sense that you're good at the tunnel, but like I'm really good at figuring, even though I'm really bad at calculus or pre-calc or algebra 2. I'm really good at grasping video game concepts.
I guess I was good at the puzzles once I knew how to do them. It was figuring out how to do them that I struggled with a lot.
I really liked that in the final tunnel bit, there were literally puzzles that you could not finish. Like there was the set where you had to pick the puzzle that was doable. I loved that part. Like
it's all coming back to me now, yeah.
The idea of that part is so funny because it took me a while to figure out. It's just like, oh, I have to just pick the one that works. Like, you don't stare at...
That was my approach anyways. I was like, looking at these things, which one looks the easiest? I'll just do that one. And I was like, oh, I guess some might be impossible. Well, that's... okay, I'll look out for that.
Like, if you spend time staring at one, it's just like, oh, this literally doesn't make sense. And then you just, like, go to the next one.
And we swear we're not spoiling anything. This is like... We're being super vague about it, but yeah,
we're being vague, and it's extremely late. Like you probably won't even remember.
This is like beyond the end of the game. This is super late game stuff. I promise. What we're saying makes no sense if you haven't played the game before.
Witness is a great game. Everybody should play it.
And Baba Is You, which Sid will play soon. I think.
Yeah, I'm gonna play Baba Is You. I think I'm gonna jump in and try that. Also, Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends update. Haven't talked about Raid Shadow Legends.
We're not sponsored by them.
Not sponsored, but I do play it. I try to play it every day. There have been days where I haven't played it. So that's progress.
I have thus far played Animal Crossing every single day since it came out.
Cool.
I am not a loser. I promise.
There are people taking massive breaks from that game. Like not playing every single day anymore. It's interesting.
Yeah, AC, its honeymoon phase is wearing off, but I'm still enjoying it. I'm especially whenever a new month hits its hype. Because like at the turn of a new month, because it just became May yesterday, there's new fish and possible bugs you can catch, so I look for those. And that makes the game, it just sort of rejuvenates the experience a bit. Plus, there's like this Earth Day, May Day thing going on. You can like go to this island that has like this maze on it. It's kind of fun. So
Trey gave me a full tour of his island.
Yeah, Sid's actually the first person to see my full island in its current-ish state.
And you know what? At first, I was just like, "Oh, we're doing this," and then it started. I was just like, "Oh, okay, this is cool." And then I like helped out. I picked the color. Like I said that the color of the fence he was going to use for beside the red flowers was going to look like shit.
I almost made a huge oopsie. I almost picked the Imperial fencing, which is like a shade of red, and which would have clashed so hard with my red Cosmos flowers. And Sid came in, swooped in, was like, "Wait a minute, pick a different fence because that's gonna clash." I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna go with Iron Fence now." You saved my life.
I've got your back. I will pay. I'm very good at paying attention.
Yeah, you remember the color of the flowers, and you're like, "Wait a minute, red and red. That's not gonna fly.
That's not gonna fly, especially
that ain't gonna cut it."
No, but Raid Shadow Legends again. I feel like I'm near the end of that. It's literally a pure grind. I'm like leveling up people. There's a tournament. There's a quote tournament, where in tournaments online you like earn some sort of in-game thing over and over and over again, and based on what you earn or like what artifact you get, you'll get tournament points. And the specific tournament that I'm in with like however many, with 40 other people, 100 other people, something like that, is literally just like a champion training event, tournament, which they've had events for where you just like earn in-game things by leveling up or ranking up your champions like over and over and over again, but they have a tournament for it. So now it's just like a pure grind. I'm grinding people from level 1 to level 30, ranking them up, like grinding them for a few levels, using them or sacrificing them to level somebody else up. It's really stupid. It sounds I don't know how it sounds.
Oh no, I get it. There's also a grinding aspect of Animal Crossing where there's like the achievements in your Nook phone. I gotta get like 5,000 fish overall to like complete that whole achievement.
What was the thing that you recently did? Like you fucked up something? Because the first day of Animal Crossing, we were talking about how there's literally no punishment and everything you screw up, you get Nook miles for. Didn't you screw something up?
I didn't even mention. There's a new thing with the recent update where Crazy Red's in the game now. And they brought back the mechanic where he like sells art to you and you got to pick the right ones so you can get to the museum. That's like not a forgery. And so on that particular day, there was a Mona Lisa painting and another large famous painting I forget the name of I could also pick from. And I didn't pick the Mona Lisa because it had what appeared to be a cum stain on it. So I was thinking, well, there's no way that's not a forgery. I'm going to not do that one.
And this is when I was watching.
And so I chose this before you even watched.
Yeah.
So I chose the other one thinking, well, there's no cum stain on this one. This is probably the real one. And so I was showing Sid with like the building. I was like, oh, here's the paintings. You got to pick which one's the real one, whatever. And so I show him the painting. I'm like, yeah, I don't see anything wrong with this. And Sid's like, there's like little white lines going down there. Is that supposed to be on there? And I was like, oh, fuck.
Like there were just it wasn't even like a white line or anything. It looked like there were small separations in
there were small little like separate, like it was like really subtle,
like indentations,
like indentations that were like they barely showed up, and it like sort of showed it was like a blown up picture onto like a giant sheet of paper essentially.
Yeah.
I didn't see that because I was looking for the cum stain. So
I was sitting there going like, I didn't even think it was a forgery. I'm like, oh, you notice those lines, and you're just like, fuck, that's the real,
fuck,
or that's the forgery.
I fucked up.
And that's the one you bought.
And so, but it didn't matter because when the first time you give a forgery to the museum, you get an achievement for getting a forgery. So.
That's so dumb. You know what? If I thought it through, I would have predicted that.
Never punished.
You're never punished in that game. Just like, oh, I bought a forgery.
To be fair, the next time it happens, you don't get anything. It's a one-time achievement.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, you did this bad thing. Okay, here's the one time that you don't get punished for it, but next time you're going to get punished for it. So
you made a present fall in the water. Here's an achievement.
And then Trey had what the Mona Lisa does have the stain on it.
Okay. If you're listening this far into the podcast, first of all, I love you. Second of all, Google search, image search the Mona Lisa, and look in the bottom right corner. There's speckles of something on the painting, and I'm like, huh, I guess that was always there. There's actually like cum stains on the actual Mona Lisa. I never realized. But there you go.
But yeah, that was our
Should've
story.
known.
But yeah, Raid Shadow Legends. It's a grind fest. It's pure grind fest right now. I need to
Same with
stop
Animal
playing this
Crossing,
game.
except there's a little more soul to it and animals.
I guess that's my entire update for gaming. I'm just kind of like hanging. I worked the other day. It was weird. People are walking a lot. And like I went to a neighborhood that I have to go to every month for a job, and driving through the neighborhood before the neighborhood I actually do, like the street that I do, that I have to go to, it was just more packed than I've ever seen the neighborhood. Just like people walking, like I had to wait at crosswalks I've never had to wait before.
There's a global pandemic. You better start walking.
Yeah, everybody's just everybody's like adhering to social distance and like walking on the road to a degree and keeping 6 feet apart from everybody. But it was so like there's so many people, and it was really funny talking about it afterwards. It's because it's on the precipice of summer, or like because it's Canada, like late winter to spring to summer. Like it could be anything at this point. It could be spring. It could be, I guess, early May is.
Yeah, it's finally starting to get warm here as well.
Yeah, so like we sometimes have snow in April. So like early May is the precipice of something where it's either people are still wearing their winter coats, or it's just barely summer, or or it's really hot, or whatever. Like it could be anything. And you saw, in addition to people's decision making on wearing a face mask and and plastic gloves, it was like, oh, that person's wearing a face mask, plastic gloves, a full winter jacket, boots, like all this stuff. And then like a little bit more down the street, you saw a guy wearing shorts, jogging in a like without face mask, without plastic gloves, and just jogging with like a sleeveless shirt on. Like the entire range of wear was outside. And it was so funny just seeing it all. I was wearing a light jacket with plastic gloves. I was wearing my plastic gloves, but it's interesting out there. It's interesting.
You know what they say about the symptoms of the disease or the virus is you get like a slight fever, or you get a cough, or a sudden urge to travel. Everyone's traveling because they might have the disease. I don't know. But I think it's time to wrap this shit up.
I have one thing.
Never mind. We're not wrapping it up yet.
I'm sorry. I have one last thing, and if I don't mention it now, I won't.
Sorry, I'm just like starving, so I want to eat. But go ahead.
I will not mention it ever again. But have you ever heard the opening song to Beyblade Burst Turbo?
I don't think I have. No.
It's like a 2008. It was made in 2018. It's just like a new Beyblade show.
They're making new Beyblade shows?
Apparently. And it has the best opening. Like, if I was a kid listening to this opening theme, I would have nostalgia listening to this opening theme now. And like, I would be so excited. It's one of those opening themes where you sit there and listen to it and you're just like, oh my God. If I was a kid, I'd be super hyped to watch this show. Like, it almost makes me want to watch that show. You need to listen to it. And
yeah, maybe I will.
And to bring it quickly back to the Plup playing in the online Ultimate tournament, he lost to the Sonic. He lost to the European Sonic, and then that Sonic went on to play another Sonic.
Oh, wait. Was that the song that was playing in that Twitter video?
Yes. So
that was a sick song.
So Samsora tweeted out like a clip of Plup listening to the Beyblade Burst Turbo opening song while watching online Sonics just spin and try to attack each other, and then go to the opposite sides of the stage, and then do it again, back and forth.
And Plup was going crazy. He's like, yes, do the homing attack. Yes, come on.
It is I don't know.
That was one of the best videos I've seen in a while.
It is a very catchy song. Because when everybody in the chat because I was in the chat while Plup was doing it, while everybody was in the chat and the chat was spamming, like, play the Beyblade song. And he was just like, oh, the Beyblade song? And he played, like, the original Beyblade song. And I was like, yeah, this is the Beyblade song. I grew up watching a little bit of Beyblade. So I know the, like, first generation song to a degree. And I was just like, yeah, this is the Beyblade song. And then they were all just like, no, it's the wrong song. Beyblade Burst Turbo. And I'm like, what the fuck is this garbage? And then he played it. And I'm just like, why is this song so good? Like, why? I don't understand. It's like oddly... Listening to it made me want to speedrun to compete. Like,
it's kind of like, why is the soundtrack to all like the shitty 3D Sonics so good? Just crazy.
It's insane. But it like motivated me. Like the song is so, I don't know. It's about competitive Beyblade. So it's just like, it's hilarious.
Beyblade is fucking dope.
And it's a show for kids, but like the song itself, it's like, I want to compete in something. I don't know what, but I want to. Anyway, I had to get that out.
Hey, that was definitely worth getting out. I was watching that clip. I wouldn't have guessed that was from Beyblade.
Beyblade Burst Turbo.
Beyblade Burst Turbo. Huh.
It's fucking insane. You should
Is Beyblade like making a comeback in schools or something?
I have no idea. I've not heard any rumblings about Beyblade except for this song.
Is 2020 the 1990s too? The sequel?
See, they renewed it, or they released it like in 2018.
Oh yeah.
This new, and it's like 2 seasons in, and I don't know. I like looked it up just to like see what, because I haven't heard of Beyblade in like 15 years. Like I remember Dragoon and all the other.
The only Beyblade I know is the Mario Sunshine trick.
Yeah, Beyblades. That's how they're coming back. Just that trick. Anyway, I made it as concise as possible. It's just, I don't know. It's just been on my mind.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye, everybody. I don't know what we talked about, but it happened.